All right, welcome in everybody. First video version of Cap and Trade this week via episode 36. So we're just wanting to test this out and see if it was something that would kind of work for the show, be beneficial for me, beneficial for you and whoever else is listening in. And so it's just something I wanted to try out, and oddly enough, I've kept my face off of social media, at least for Twitter wise, for a good 10 years now. So now everybody can see the man behind the Twitter account. So, but for the most part, I just wanted to see if this was something that would be good versus Spaces. I know we've had a lot of success with Spaces, and I've really enjoyed the fan interaction on there, and we've had a lot of good guests in our past year and a half of running the show on Spaces. And I'm not completely eliminating Spaces, but it's something that I just wanted to test this out and see. It seems there's a lot of momentum when it comes to going with the video format of the podcast. And so, this is episode 36 of Cap and Trade, and I really wanted to give this a shot, see how it worked on YouTube Live here. Go with the video format. We'll still record the show, record the audio, and produce the podcast version, just like we do from Cap and Spaces, like we do on Twitter Spaces on Cap and Trade from there. So, with that, we'll get going here. Landry's running a little behind, but we can kind of get going. But for the most part, this was Texans' first win. Congratulations to them. Kind of want to dedicate the show to Travion Walker with his free gift that he handed the Texans with his frustration on the roughing the passer call on the 3rd and 20, giving Texans the first down, and ultimately led to scoring points, which put them in a position to win the game. And it's good to finally get that first win out from underneath them, kind of get that off of their back, heading into the bye week. They can work, regroup, figure out where they need to go from here. But getting that first win is very important. It's very important for the confidence of the team, confidence of the coaching staff, all the way up to ownership, confidence in the fan base. So that part is just exciting for everyone involved. And so, they're now 1-3-1, and it's a good time. Especially with the Astros, what's going on right now. It's good to see the Texans win, and then of course Jordan setting everything up last night, having the big home run to close out the game to complete the comeback. So it's just an exciting time for Houston sports right now. And with that, on the Texans front, it's good. It's Davis Mills still has struggled, still had a rough game. I updated the confidence meter. I put it at 25 this week based on the fan poll that we had put out on Tuesday morning. So we updated we put it out on Monday. I'm sorry, we put the poll out on Monday on Twitter. Had about a good participation, more votes this time around. So we had 670 something votes this time around. And it was a dang lock between 20% and 30%. So I split the difference, put it at 25%, posted the meter up, and I disabled comments on it because I just didn't want it to turn into just a bad discussion point. But it's more fun and jest, and if anything, and it was fun for me to just create the graphic to see if I could come up with that. Came up with it in Excel. So it's at 25%. Mills had yet another rough game, and it's just difficult to continue to watch this. He's having trouble going to his left still. He's having trouble getting outside of the numbers. His accuracy was better this week, I think, overall, but his average depth of target is just continuing to go down and down and down. And you see that with his EPA per play, per dropback, it just continues to go down. And he's falling way below the trend line when you compare against the other quarterbacks across the league. So it's very tough to watch. And I do think it's a function of play calling. I do think it's a function of Davis Mills and his confidence. We're not seeing him go down the field quite as much. We're starting just like in case with Brandon Cooks. I mean, his average depth of target, his yards per reception is just down. It's down almost this past week. It was less than 5 yards per reception. And so that's just quite difficult to overcome when your number one wide receiver is pulling in less than 50 yards reception yards. And at this point, something's got to change. And hopefully they can use this bye week to regroup, figure out the offense, try to find a way to get the ball downfield more often. We see what the running game's capable of. You're starting to see a lot more 7-man boxes for Dameon Pierce. And so Pep's going to have to change things up a little bit. He's going to have to figure out how to make the defense respect the passing game, which will ultimately open up the running game even more. So at this point, we really need him to get going and figure out a way to just get Nico Collins more involved. We saw him with 4 receptions, made that fantastic jump catch, which is what he has the frame built for, to get there and make those kind of plays. And there's going to be times where you just got to depend on him making those kind of plays when you throw it up. But at this point, you just need to figure out not change scheme, but we need the team to figure out how to get the ball past 4 or 5 yards down the field, or when the team's passing. There was I think a chart came out where it's I'm sorry, it's on Football Outsiders. There's a chart of passing yards in relation to throwing to the sticks. So Davis Mills is really low on that chart. He's like at minus 2.1 yards. So what that's saying is his average target is minus 2 yards from the first down stick. Doesn't matter if it's 1st and 20 or first and or 3rd and 4 or whatever. He's constantly throwing behind the sticks, and it's not leading to a lot of first downs, and it's making things very difficult for the offense. Luckily, Dameon Pierce is carrying the load. Starting to get a little concerned about his workload going forward, but it's good to see him continue to progress and get the confidence and start breaking tackles and know that what he's capable of doing is exactly what we saw this weekend, where he was breaking 6 or 7 tackles on that one play that got him down to the 1 yard line, where he ended up punching in for a touchdown. But you need to put those things together and figure out a way for this offense to score points. It's not every week that this defense is going to be able to shut down the quarterback that well. I mean, you're going to have stiffer competition when it comes to the quarterback at some point down the line. Jalen Hurts, different players coming up, and the defense is not going to always hold them to 6 points like that, right? So we need them to figure out a way to get this offense moving, get it moving down the field, move the sticks, stay on schedule. And Davis Mills is not an RPO guy. He's not making those reads. There's times where he could have probably pulled it and ran it himself. So take those plays off the books, figure out a way to get more of your running back group, specifically Dare, get him involved, for 5 carries, things like that. And so Landry should be joining in time now. Make sure you got the link. Now I lost my train of thought. But no, it's just overall, it's just tough to see the offense running at this point, and you just got to figure something out. The defense is going to continue to do what they do. The linebackers are still struggling. The back end, the secondary is performing very well as a whole. And so, and the special teams is a top three piece of the, phase of the game when you compare against across the league. They're doing very well on that. So one thing I kind of wanted to talk about was Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard. So they both had a very good game again. It's especially with the pass blocking, run blocking here and there. It's, I think Pierce is making a lot out of a little. But at some point, the run blocking is going to continue. It's going to come around. I think they'll get there with that. But the pass blocking, especially with the bookends with Howard and Tunsil, this past week was very, very well done. The interior is still struggling. AJ Cann, he is what he is. Scott Quessenberry, he is what he is. Kenyon Green in pass blocking, he's had 2 weeks now where it's a little rough. And so at this point, you got to really start looking at their future and how they're going to manage this, right? Because you have next year, you have them both under contract. They're both going into the last year of their respective contracts. Howard's on his rookie deal. He'll be going into the 5th year, and he's due $13.2 million salary next year. Tunsil, due to all the back-to-back restructurings of his contract, he's due $18.5 million salary, but his cap number has ballooned all the way up to $35.2 million. So it's going to be difficult to operate with your left tackle with that kind of number. So really the team only has 2 choices at this point, specifically with Tunsil, is you either trade him or you extend him. And if you would have asked me in the preseason or, even week 1 or whatever, I was probably more so in the trade side of that equation. I think it would have made sense to look at trying to acquire another draft asset or whatever it may be. But the team has a ton of draft assets, and you've got to continue building your foundation. And I do think Tunsil should be a part of that foundation. And so I think it's worth exploring a contract extension for him after the season's over. Now, we all know that Tunsil is very much a businessman. He comes to play. There's no question on doubting his football play, his acumen, his work so far this season. But he's going to command top dollar, top of the market. And that top of the market right now is I think it's 23 and change with the tackle out of San Francisco. So at some point, he's probably going to want to reset the market, right? Because he's unfranchised taggable in 2024 because it's primarily based on salary, and it includes the prorated bonus. So you take out workout bonus and incentives, but he didn't have those. So his franchise tag number in 2024 would just be an astronomical number, 120% on top of 35 million. So that's just not something that they can do. And you really don't want to be, like I said, you don't really want to be operating next year with him at $35 million cap number. So at this point, you've got to figure out a way to get him under contract. I think I've got a couple of proposals kind of written up in draft form. I'll probably dive into those, the actual numbers and the cash flows on those on that type of extension, probably after the season's over. But I kind of just wanted to raise the awareness right now that you definitely want to explore getting him under contract, doing, whether it's another 2-year extension, 3-year extension, something like that. You can bring his cap number down a good, probably 8 to 10 million, maybe even a little bit more. Might be able to get it under 20 million. So that'll free up a good $15 million plus in cap space for the team on 2023 and still keep it from overall ballooning in 2024 and beyond, right? So I think that's something that the team can probably do. It just depends on what their cash constraints are going to be for 2023 and beyond, especially if they go with a rookie contract. Especially if they have a rookie contract at the quarterback. Hey, what's going on, dude?
What's up, man? Don't let me interrupt you. You were on a roll. Rookie contracts.
See, and now I'm pissed off because
I'm sorry. I did not know they were going to go at 8:30.
No, it's not your fault. My audio interface is not working tonight. It worked good when you and I did our test
What is audio
last
interface,
time,
sir? What is audio interface?
and now
sir?
I can barely even hear you when you're talking. So certainly can't hear you in my headphones. So this will be a good trial run. We'll try to work out the bugs as we go. But no, I'm talking about Titus Howard and Laramie Tunsil, right? This past weekend, I think, was their best work as bookends, right? As quality tackles. Tunsil's been putting in the work all season, but I think Howard is continuing to progress, especially in the pass blocking. His run blocking is just like Tunsil. It's so. It's replacement level, slightly better, but I think Dameon Pierce is making more out of than what he's been given from run blocking. But from a pass blocking perspective, I think both of them are doing very well. I think Howard's coming along. Tunsil's at a probably top 5 tackle when it comes to pass blocking, like he always does. So
he's run blocking a little bit better now. A little bit.
Yeah. So I'm more thinking about how, what the team needs to do. Because in next year, Tunsil's, because of all the restructures, his cap number has exploded, right? It's all the way up to 35 and change next year. Can't have except for a quarterback, you really can't have another player with that kind of cap number. So that leaves 2 options. It's either extend him or trade him. And at some point, probably if you'd asked me 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was probably in the trade him side of that equation. I'm starting to feel a little more the other side of, I think they really need to look at finding a way to extend him, consider him part of your foundation for whatever quarterback is under center next year and beyond. And we've seen it with other rookie quarterbacks where they seem to struggle, but when they don't have an offensive line. But if you can extend Tunsil, extend Howard, because he's got a fully guaranteed contract next year and a 13.2 cap figure. So if you can bring that down a little bit, Tunsil's more the one you got to really take care of. But I think it's worth exploring getting them both under contract long term. That just continues your foundation, which is very important for offensive line. So you would have Kenyon Green, Tunsil, and Howard. Tunsil and Howard long-term under contract with Green, and whatever quarterback is under there. That's just a good foundation set up for any quarterback to come into, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily think I don't think it should be a top priority at this point until it has to be, because I think with these draft picks, especially the premium picks that they're going to have, 2 in the top or 3 in the top, what are we anticipating? 3 in the top 37, 38, maybe sooner. You might be able to find a young guy that you like better than Tunsil. Now, if they do that, okay, I'm not going to be opposed to it, but I don't think it needs to be like, I wouldn't be rushing to extend Titus Howard at this point. I'm not completely comfortable with Titus Howard as a tackle to the point where I just want to, hurry up and extend him, especially given that you did pick up that option. I know you want to cut the contract and you want to just want to shuffle the math, and you just want to push the contracts back, and you just get so giddy and seeing the contract structure. I'm in no hurry to sign these tackles right now. I'm in no hurry. They're under contract. They're not free agents. They're good to go, Cap. How do you like?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with Howard as is. I don't see how you can operate from a available cap dollar standpoint with Tunsil that high of a number. So I think that's where a decision needs to be made. And I think it's more difficult to replace him. It's just like Nick would always say, it's a cost benefit analysis, right? So you just got to decide if you want to invest another 70 or 80, $60-50 million guaranteed in Tunsil to keep him around for another 2 or 3 years, or go younger and try to find your franchise left tackle in the draft. But that's just another spot that you have to utilize on the draft picks, versus looking at other skill positions, or another pass rusher, things like that you could work on, and then just get Tunsil under contract. So that was kind of just my thought and I'm not saying do it right now. This is more of a hypothetical discussion to figure out what you want to do when it comes February, March of next year. It's just something I just kind of been thinking about this week, and if it made sense to try to keep them around long term and see where it goes from here. So, but
My favorite thing right
still a lot of
now?
season left to go, and you got to continue to see Howard progress and do well and continue what he's doing and not fall back off a cliff or take a step back or anything like that. So we're still very early in the process from this year's audition for Howard, but Tunsil is what he is. He's good. He's going to stay good. He's going to come to play. We all know that he's a businessman. He's going to command top dollar, and that's an issue that has to be considered. You're probably going to have to make him the highest paid left tackle in the market if you end up doing that. So it's just something I was tossing around and seeing what the thought was out there. But
I love how stressed out you are, Cap. I love how stressed. This is Cap. This is the first time that he's doing this, and Cap is stressed out that he doesn't have the full grasp of the technology, and it's easy to read you right now.
It worked great when you and I did that test the other night, and I don't know why it's not working today. And so I'm not going to have a podcast to record and post this week, which sucks.
Why not? Why not?
It's not, the audio's not going back to my audio interface, which is where I record it.
Do you want to start? I can start over mine and record it and send it to you if you want on the Dome. We can just start it right now. Seriously, it's not hard for me, man.
So what do you want to do? You're saying put it on your channel and record it?
We can go live. We can go live on mine. I can send you the link. You can do whatever you want. All I have to do is record it and send it to you, and that's it.
Yeah, no, the problem is it's using my damn webcam as a microphone, and I'm pissed. Pissed off. I can pull audio from the video.
Just gotta download.
I didn't pay for the professional plan of StreamYard yet because I was gonna test. So I can't
just bust it, dude.
I can't
I can hook you up, dude, if you want. I mean, it's up to you. I just don't want you to be disappointed.
I'll just put out an apology letter and we'll just keep going with it tonight.
No, let's get it. You want to go in mine and just get it going? How many people are in here right now? Does it even tell you? You got a freaking duck 9. As the logo. Yeah. No, let's just we can just do it, dude. And then I'll send it to you and record it. It'll take 3 minutes. Yes or no?
No, just stay here. It's fine. We'll figure it out. I'll it's fine. It's no problem. I don't care.
All right. Yeah, you did.
How was your trip, buddy? Your Red River shootout?
It was good, man. It was good. Very enjoyable. I've sat through many of those assings, and it's not fun. Sat in the OU student section. My girl was there. She wasn't too happy. They don't get beat down like that a lot in OU, but you hire a dopey coach, you get dopey results, and they hired the dopiest coach this side of Mississippi, probably the worst, one of the worst coaches in Big 12 history. And, Texas was able to do their thing. A lot of guys, I was actually watching that game and I was like thinking, how many of these guys could I see being on the Houston Texans one day? Like, how many of these? There's a lot of offensive linemen. I won't even get into that. There's a lot of young offensive linemen that I think could make the NFL. But there are some guys on the Texas roster that I feel like the Texans could use very, very soon. Very, very soon. Maybe the quarterback. Maybe. Still got to look at that. But
he's not, draft eligible until 2024, right?
Yeah. So he's got to stay. And, he skipped his senior year of high school, so he sped up that process. And went to Ohio State. So there's that. Bijan Robinson, you know how I feel about that.
Yep.
Jatavian Sanders, he's only going to get bigger. Number 0. There's that. The 0 on the other side of the ball, Jalen Overshone, he can move around. Big Coburn, the D tackle, I could see him getting into a camp. He's got a guess where his NIL deal is with? Big Big City Wings, baby.
Oh,
Big City
that's right.
Wings.
Okay.
Big City Wings. And then I actually think there's a couple of guys that won't get drafted that I think could actually be in an NFL camp and end up in an NFL camp. One of them's pretty undersized, but he can do basically everything. Deshaun Jameson, the other number 5. They got 2 number 5s, 2 number 0s. But the cornerback, he went to Lamar High School, kind of a return guy. Got little Desmond Kingy, but probably a little bit smaller. And then Jordan Whittington's like a slot receiver who's not putting up a lot of stats, but he's only been playing receiver for a few years. I could see that. But yeah, I went on a tangent, but I could see some of these guys playing on Sunday one day or getting invites to get. I think Roshan Johnson's going to get invited to a camp too, the backup running back.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those guys.
I did watch a little bit of the game. It's rare for me to get to watch a college game, but even he showed signs of
got some dogs, man.
Yeah, no, I know I was excited for you with the massive blowout. That was fun to see.
1 week at a time, baby. On to Iowa State.
Is that coach one and done there at OU?
Nah, he's got the backing of Bob Stoops and a bunch of former players and stuff. So they're kind of trying to sell themselves that they need some culture change, which is weird because Lincoln Riley would win like 10 games, 11 games a year. But they feel like they need like some sort of culture change. So really, like with their culture change, they're basically going backwards. You know, it's not like taking over for B.O.B. or David Culley. They're kind of in a weird spot, but that's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's
all good, man.
Yeah, no,
I just want a happy Cap, man. We got to get this thing going.
No, I'm happy, man. I'm fine. Apparently we'll see. Maybe the YouTube might be saving the audio. One of the comments said that YouTube might save the audio, so we'll see if I can edit it up and
you need to edit out all this whining that you've been doing.
I haven't been doing any whining.
Your concerns about everything, it's just you're gonna be good. You're gonna be a well-oiled machine. Trust me.
Yeah, no, we'll get there, man. We gotta work through the bugs. We'll get there.
What'd you make of the Jacksonville game? Outside of what is the stuff that nobody's talking about? Because I'm sure they've heard our takes on like this stuff. What is the stuff from that game that nobody's talking about? Because I got a few things.
Go ahead.
First, the Rex Burkhead run, one of the biggest plays of the game.
Where he broke the linebacker's ankles?
They were trying to punt from their own end zone. If Rex Burkhead does not move the chains on that 3rd and 7, I don't think the Texans win the game.
Okay.
He still stinks.
I had dedicated the show to Travion Walker with his gift on 3rd and 20. So
that was dumb.
Yeah.
I also think Nico Collins is playing way better than his stats. I think if you're one of those guys who's just going to look at the end of the year at the stats, you might even try to convince yourself that he didn't get much better, but he's gotten a lot better. A lot of the passes thrown his way have been uncatchable. The improvement of Nico Collins is something that I don't expect everyone to see, because I don't expect anyone that doesn't do this for a living or that doesn't love this team to invest time watching the Texans. But I think that Nico Collins is playing better than the stats. I think his separation is actually close. Like his route separation is actually close to A.J. Brown, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's really close to A.J. Brown. I think there was like a Football Outsider stat that shows that. So I think he's been better than his stats. Garrett Wallow, he might be a player. Like between him and Christian Harris, the biggest roster transformation that I think that we could see as the second quarter of the season, for lack of a better term, begins, because you're still on like the 16 scale. I think the linebacking core could look way better than we thought it would. And I also thought that Neville Hewitt played pretty good. Like, I think they need someone like Neville Hewitt that can actually go up there and kind of stand his ground against the run. Still not great, but I was impressed with the linebackers, Nico, and the Burkhead run. I really, really was.
Yeah, I tweeted about that some today. I really think there should be a chance that once Christian Harris is healthy and back and got a game under his belt and ready to go, I really do think you should try bringing Kirksey off the field. Definitely bring Kamu off the field. Have Wallow and Christian Harris as your main two main two linebackers when they're in the sub packages. When they're in base package, it's either Neville Hewitt or Blake Cashman once he comes back from concussion, and then mix in a little Jake Hansen, who's very good on special teams, and Blake Cashman's very good on special teams. But we know what Kirksey is. We know what Kamu is. It's nothing's going to change, and they're not long term. Kamu's not going to be here next year, so you've got to see what you have in these younger guys. Cashman's a free agent next year, so you've got to decide. You got to see what you have in him. But I think going younger is, like you said, a change in the linebacker might be something worth for this team to look at in the back half of the season. Give some of these younger guys a few more snaps, see what they have in them. I mean, it's obviously it can't get much worse from the linebacker play. So I think that's something hopefully the team will take a look at.
They need to. They absolutely need to. Other thing, like Davis Mills sucked. Like I know, fortunately, they didn't need the difference between this game and I know that, you can look at a win and a lot of times you can say, well, he must have played better. The difference between this game and the other games that they played up to this point, it was that you didn't need Davis Mills to do much. He had to make the one throw to Akins, I guess throw up a, quote, catchable ball to Nico. But if you were looking for like some sort of improvement from Davis Mills, you're going to have to wait at least 2 more weeks because he sucked. He wasn't good. And at this point, quite honestly, I've kind of moved on from like hoping that Davis Mills is going to look great. He can be okay and, not necessarily lose you the game, but he wasn't good at all. Like he was bad. But they were able to, run the ball, make some plays on defense. The Stingley interception doesn't get the credit that it deserves. It's looked at more as like a mistake by Trevor Lawrence, but I thought it was just as impressive of a play by Derek Stingley in what he did. But the young guys played well, but Davis Mills did not. You can go through between the first year and second year guys, you can go through and do like a checklist of all of them, and a lot of them played well. Davis Mills did not. He was not good at all.
Yeah, no, it was horrible, and it's getting worse week after week after week, and I don't see him coming out of this hole. I think he's just going to continue to have these games where it's 150 yards, 180 yards, 200 yards. As long as he's not throwing interceptions or fumbling, the team's probably going to be okay with it, and not enough to bench him or anything like that. If he starts coming out of games with 3 interceptions and things like that, then something might change. But as long as he's managing the game and not having the massive turnovers, and I think the team's going to be okay with sticking with him. And they're just got to lean on the defense and lean on the running game. It was another week where it felt like the opponent probably could have scored more points, and it was just opportune takeaways, opportune stops for Houston, and that bend don't break mentality. And I don't know how long they can maintain that. Hopefully they can maintain it all year, but they're also going to face stiffer competition, better quarterbacks than Trevor Lawrence, and so it'll be interesting to see how they hold up when they go against a more high level quarterback. And
that's going to happen, in 2 Sundays. And I think the Raiders are good. I know that
they're better than their record for sure.
They have a worse record. I think they still might make the playoffs. Like I would. I mean, if I'm going to Las Vegas next week, I mean, if there's like some sort of odds on the Raiders making the playoffs, you look at their next 6 games, pretty favorable. Their schedule. I think the Raiders are a good team, and I think that Derek Carr is a good quarterback, and I think they've just gotten off to a bad start. Like we've heard Lovie Smith say, we're close, and kind of rolled our eyes at it. I think the Raiders are like close. I think they're a good team. I really do think they're a good team. And I think they're going to start their run against the Texans. And there's no shame in that because, they're definitely better than their record.
Yeah. No, and I don't know what the team can do because it's to me, it's in between the ears for Mills at this point. His confidence is just nowhere where it needs to
He's
be, and I don't
toast.
know
He's toast.
where if he's going to make it back. I mean,
He's not holding the ball long enough. I never thought I would like.
his
It's
time to
almost
throw is very low, and he's not. He doesn't come off his first read very often, and he gets those
yeah.
happy feet, and it just
It's the opposite of Watson. You know
yeah.
how some people, we've
Watson
literally
was-
gone from the exact opposite of, man, is he holding the ball too long, to, man, he's holding the ball way too quickly. Like, he's getting rid of the ball quickly. We've gone from like one extreme to the other with the quarterbacks. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it freaks me out every time I look at those stats and see that he's first or second in time to throw, and that's just what we're not used to. And he just, I was talking about it before you got here. I was looking. Football Outsiders has a stat where they measure how short of the sticks a quarterback throws, regardless of what the down and distance is. And his is he's like 28th in the league and of throwing to the first down marker. Like, he's averaging like minus 2.5 yards away from the first down marker. And he's just like we talked about, his depth on targets is very little. You see Brandon Cooks coming out of games with 40 yards in receiving yards on 5 or 6 targets. And they're, minus a few couple plays that he did get out to Collins, he's just not moving the ball down the field. He's not able to throw outside the numbers. And like we said, it's I don't know where it's going from, but it's just frustrating, and it just makes it that much easier for the team to make a move in 2023 when it comes to a quarterback. Now, what that move would be, I don't know. I don't know if Caserio would go a safer route and bring in a veteran type quarterback, bridge type quarterback, or if he would go through the draft. That's something we'll have to wait and see. Just one thing that it kind of has me curious, though, is if he doesn't draft a quarterback in 2023 and goes with a bridge quarterback and it backfires again, are they going to be around to be able to make that pick in 2024?
Yes.
Or do the art?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
You think so?
For sure. Yeah, that wouldn't be, because if let's put it this way. If Nick Caserio, and it might be early, if Nick Caserio has another draft like he has this year, and let's say he sprinkles it in on offense and all that, but they don't invest fully in like a rookie quarterback, then they're going to have to be patient with Nick Caserio, because the worst thing you can do is, try to force it at the quarterback. But, that's how you end up with like a Josh Rosen, and you have to punt immediately. So yeah, I don't think next year is make or break by any stretch of the imagination for Nick Caserio. I think he's going to be able to oversee the process. Now, he might try to find a new coach, but all he's got to do is keep drafting like he's drafting. Like, this isn't 2016 where Cal McNair is going to go up to Caserio like Bob did with Rick Smith and say, "Get me a quarterback," and they have to get desperate. I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, I think he's fine, and I think he should be fine. There's no pressure, there's no hurry. Like, no sane person is sitting here saying we need some wins, because he inherited this, and I actually think he has a vision and he has a process. I could see, and honestly, I think with some cap space and with another draft like this, I think they could be a competitive ball club, even with a veteran. So yeah, he will absolutely. There's no way that Nick Caserio doesn't make all these picks that he made with the Deshaun Watson deal. No chance.
Fair enough.
You're trying to fire Caserio. That's a hot take right there. You're so stressed out by this technology. You're trying to fire Caserio. I like it. It's a hot take.
No, and I'm fine. I think Lovey's definitely around for next year. I just think the offensive coordinator position might change
really
next year if things don't turn around. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people down on Pep, man. I don't know. Like, I understand the frustration. Give him a couple of running backs to work with. Give him another receiver. And, pay attention to the offensive side of the rock like you did the defensive side of the rock this year, or sprinkle in some playmakers.
Yeah.
Maybe you get Mechie back, who knows? But sprinkle in some playmakers, and then I think we can evaluate Pep. Now, do you want to put your rookie quarterback in that situation if you don't trust Pep? It's to be determined. But I definitely think that, you know, it's as much about the Joes, the Jimmies and Joes, as it is the X's and O's.
That's such a cliche. I hate that
Hey,
saying.
hey, what do you want me to say? It's more about the players. It's just as much about the players as it is the coaches. We got to coach them up.
Coach
What do
them
you
up.
want from me? What do you
Yeah,
want from me,
I
sir?
mean, maybe if Pep will be here next year, we'll see. I think Levy will. I think he's way down the list of who could be fired. You know, we saw Matt Rule get fired. I think maybe Frank Wright up in Indianapolis might be on the hot seat. I don't know if
Whoa. Would you hire
Brandon
Frank?
Staley, but Lovey's nowhere in danger of losing anything this year. We'll
Would
see
you
what
hire
happens
Frank?
after the season's over.
Would you hire Frank?
Oh, as offensive coordinator?
No, as coach.
Oh, no.
No?
It's tough in Indy, man. I mean, Jim Irsay is cheap when it comes to spending on the roster. Ballard, I think he's got one hand tied behind his back, and he's just not able to go out and spend the money that he would.
You
probably
think?
like to spend.
You don't think this is Ballard's plan?
I think. I mean,
I do. Boy, if my owner's cheap and doesn't let me get players, and then he's signing them $100 bills and handing them to him, he and I are going to have some words. You cheap bastard! You're handing out $100 bills.
Last 12 years, Indianapolis is like always bottom 3, bottom 4 in cash spending. It's always been that way.
Well,
they just
God. If that,
even
that's a
before Ballard
serious
got
issue.
there,
Then it's a
they just
serious
don't
issue.
spend.
Then they just haven't been able to find a quarterback. If we're being honest, though.
Yeah, I mean that's been Ballard's thing is passing on Darnold or whatever probably was the right decision, but he's had opportunities to take a quarterback and he just hasn't done it. And he's continued to make these other decisions. He got talked into the Carson Wentz thing by Frank Wright, and that backfired. And now it looks like it's going to backfire on Washington. And so, and now Matt Ryan looks like an old version of himself, but that offensive line is just no good anymore. They don't have the offensive line that they had 2 years ago. But it's rough up there, and I think Frank Wright probably be one of the next ones on the list after Matt Rule. I'm not really sure if there's really many other candidates out there that could potentially
could be fired.
Yeah, I don't know if
there's a lot. There's plenty. I can fire a coach for you real quick. You want me to?
Yeah,
I'll tell you who's getting fired right now. Cliff Kingsbury.
Okay. They just extended him 6 months ago.
Yes, they don't care. Cliff Kingsbury could definitely be fired.
Staley.
Keep an eye on Mike McCarthy and how the Cowboys season ends, because Dan Quinn's doing a hell of a job, and I could see them wanting to get.
That's going to probably be the most popular name in the coaching search next year.
He's awesome. And Sean Payton, Dan Campbell, you've won one game right now. I mean, I know that there's a lot of hype there and stuff. I think Dan Campbell's going to have to win a few more games, or he could end up getting canned. That's about it. Although I think Nathaniel Hackett's one and done for sure. I think he's fired.
So. I mean,
he's gone.
That is.
They didn't hire his ass. So yeah, Nathaniel's gone. I mean, let's be honest. Like,
was he hired before they hired Patton, the GM, or was it the other way around? Because I thought Hackett was being brought in because they thought they were getting Rodgers.
That's why. And they didn't, and he's been a disaster. So I think Hackett's one and done. So Hackett, Kingsbury, keep an eye on McCarthy, and then, Quinn's going to be a popular
here
name.
About Ron Rivera. I don't know if it's
they can't fire him. I was talking about that today because what he said was so stupid. Like, it's true, but it's not true based on the example he was given. Like, where he said they asked, why haven't you been able to compete in the NFC East? Why is everyone ahead of you? Because you have a 5-0 team and 2 4-1 teams. And he said, "What's quarterback driven league?" Yeah, it is, dummy. But your division is the opposite of that. Like Philadelphia, I like Jalen. They've got a complete roster. Like they've built a complete roster and they've made it good for Jalen Hurts. Dallas is winning with their backup, and nobody in New York is sitting there saying we're 4-1 because of Daniel Jones. So he sounded like an idiot when he said it, but they can't fire him. With everything he's overseen and all that type of stuff, if you want to talk about having a lot of rope, Ron Rivera has a lot of rope. So I don't think there's any way they could fire him. Could you make a case? Yes, but he ain't going nowhere. And my dream scenario is that the Texans get 2 top 6 picks or 2 top 7, top 8 picks. And with one of them, they maybe go quarterback. And then with the next one, Will Levis is still on the board. And a team like Washington or someone wants to trade with you. Although Washington might be drafting before that. But a team, whether it's Carolina or whoever needs a quarterback wants to trade, and then you find a way to get a couple more firsts to go along with the quarterback, and you continue to build a quarterback. That's my dream scenario.
I'm on board the trade down one of them. Right now, if the draft ended today, they would be picking 6 and 8 with the Falcons behind them, the Seahawks behind them. Of course, they're maybe Geno Smith tearing it up there. But, you got the Washington in front of them and Detroit in front of them, Steelers, Panthers, Raiders. Panthers would need a quarterback as well, and Washington probably would need a quarterback. So, hopefully that pick from the Browns, which would be the number 8 pick right now, hopefully it'll hold in that top 12 area.
Yeah. Oh, it will. They're bad. They're about to tumble. I think Watson's going to be rusty too. I think he's going to be a little bit rusty.
He was able to return to the team, but he can't practice yet, from my understanding. I think he can just go to meetings and stuff like that.
But I mean, that's going to be where you're talking about, if you're talking 6 to 8, like you're going to be saying, is Jackson Smith and Jigba the receiver that you need? Is Jalen Carter the guy that's just going to completely revamp your offensive line, our defensive line, excuse me? Is Will Levis a quarterback we're taking, depending who they take earlier? And that's where you'll be having that discussion. But if you can stockpile, get a couple first, just move back and maintain, all the draft equity and keep piling it on, you're gonna be in good shape, man. And I'm not going to be shocked if that happens. I actually think there's a good chance that they start having a lot of fun with those draft picks, like a lot of fun with those draft picks whenever the time comes around. I mean, that's the dream scenario is 1 and 6 or something like that, because then you're definitely trading. Or
when you're able to go into a draft and have 6 picks in the top 110, 115 picks, generally is the top 100 is what a lot of people focus on, but they'll probably be in that top 125 with 6 picks. And we see how Nick moves around, up, down, wherever he needs to go. So that is a lot of ammunition to work with. And I mean, it's like you said, that's the exciting part of what this organization has ahead of them. And it's not just next year. I mean, it's the year after that as well. They're going to have the Browns pick, which the Browns might be better next year, but who knows? We've seen Deshaun Watson go 4-12 on a team regardless. So we'll see what happens with that. But man, it's good for the fans to try to look and talk about that kind of stuff, because it's rough with what you're seeing right now. But if you look at the outlook of the team, look at what you're getting out of, like you talked about, the draft picks, which you see you get out of Petrie and Stingley and so far Kenyon Green and Pierce, obviously, and hopefully you see something similar with Christian Harris, and hopefully maybe you get to see John Mechie come back next year and provide that true slot wide receiver type of player that the team is missing. And so there's just really a lot to look forward to from a young player standpoint. And I'm hoping Consario can continue that theme going forward. Having a lot of draft picks will help bring the roster age down, but hopefully we start to see more of that and less of signing 30 veterans to the roster.
We will. We will. There'll be more quality, especially, and I know you're giddy about having cap space, getting out of this cap hell, this
yeah, well, I mean,
penny counting that you've done lately.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be curious to see how they go. I think you're going to see less of like we talked about last week, the middle class. I think the team acknowledges and knows that they've got too big of a middle class, and they need.
See, I'm insulted by that. I don't think this is middle class.
What's that?
I don't think this is middle class. I don't even think that Kamu Grujejo and Christian Kirksey are middle class. I think that's lower class.
From performance, yes. I'm talking just straight.
I know.
Cap dollar perspective, and I got a newsletter coming out later this week on it. I'll dive into that stuff.
That's a tease right there. See, you're getting happy again.
So make sure you subscribe to that Cap and Trade Substack letter, and you can read it later this week, probably Friday or so. I'll get it out. But
that's a nice map behind you, man.
My wife bought that.
Yeah, that's a nice map, dude.
My additional lights did not come in. Actually, I think they're on the front porch. They came in right after I started, so that's why I look extra yellow right now, because it's bad lighting in here. But yeah, I got to figure out this interface and why it's not working tonight. I think I need to go ahead and run a hard line from the router to the computer for the internet and do a few extra upgrades and try to get this thing a little more ironed out. But I definitely am enjoying having the conversation face to face versus staring at air. So yeah. I
don't mind staring at air. You know me.
I know. Well, you're used to it. That's what you do for a living. And, well, you got Lopez right there, and you got Figgy behind.
That is true.
So you're not completely solo, but
yeah, well,
that Twitter Spaces are just getting more and more buggy. And I went back. I think last week, it was your audio that dropped out, not mine.
On Spaces, it's possible.
I think something happened on your side, because all the recording, it came out just fine. So I don't know what happened, but
it's possible.
But I think we can make this be a good thing and just work out the kinks and going forward. But
you'll be good, man.
Ace said he's going to trade in his Deshaun jersey. Well,
good for him.
They're doing it. They got the big
44%
sale going on.
Just a coincidence too. Discount. Just a coincidence.
44% discount.
Coincidence.
There's a lot of people hitting that up, trading in their gear. That was a fun list. What that was like when they put out the list.
Look, if you bought a Kahali Waring or DeAndre Carter jersey, you don't deserve any breaks.
A Barkevius Mingo was on there.
You deserve to suffer from all the pain and all the wasted money that you can if you bought those jerseys. Watson, I can understand, but if you bought those jerseys, you should suffer. You should suffer through having that jersey.
Who's likely to be here longer? Pierce or
Stingley.
That's if I was buying a jersey today, it would be a Stingley jersey.
Yeah, I would guess.
Just from a longevity standpoint, I think the team.
I think just from a baller standpoint, I like Pierce, but I'm a big Stingley guy.
Yeah, running backs have short careers.
Yeah, I know how you feel about them. You don't have to crap on running backs. We almost made it through a whole show without you crapping on running backs.
Yeah, don't take them in the first round.
Okay. Let's see how Bijan does next year.
Yeah, no,
rookie of the year.
I did my little joke tweet saying that Pierce and Robinson would be a fun duo for next year.
Did anyone get mad at you?
Yeah, it was a lot of don't take a quarterback in the first round. But there was a lot of people that said, yeah, that would be awesome.
Don't take a running back, yeah.
Because what
about a slot receiver? What about a slot receiver / running back?
Do what?
He can play in the slot too. So he's like a slot receiver. Might do more damage in the slot than Mechie.
No, Mechie's going to be a badass when he comes back.
Okay, well then you can have two guys. How about that?
But yeah, I mean,
give Pep some toys.
I think they
get back in the Mulligetta business. Let's get back in the Mulligetta business. Bijan.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a problem.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, I don't. I think there's probably a few people that were making that out to potentially be something, but I don't think that that's going to be a problem. He's got to continue to do business with teams with the Texans. He's got a ton of other players under that agency, so definitely no problem there. I think that was just a bad situation altogether. But that, and man, because what I was really excited about, I had downloaded the audio from the call from Jordan's home run, and I was going to play it at the beginning of the show, and now I can't even do that.
Why not?
So it's just because it's on the audio interface, it won't play back through right now because it's not connected for some reason correctly.
So are you just going to play it just to play it, or what? That's what you wanted? You wanted to play it?
Oh my God. I'm going to be okay. Now you're going to see me get pissed.
Now your audio is great. So you had the wrong thing up.
It wasn't plugged in all the way to the fucking computer.
So all this complaining was your fault all to begin with.
Yes.
Wow. On that note, we might as well just call it. No, you're going to be ticked. All right.
I'm so mad now. I'm so mad now.
All right. There you go. You're loud and clear.
Dang, man. That's
all right. On that note.
No.
God, all right, man.
Dang. All right. Well, I appreciate it, sir. And hopefully I'll have the cable properly plugged in next week. Wow. God, man, that is just total newbie ridiculous error by me. I'm like, I just glanced down at it and I was like, it's not plugged in all the way.
There you go. So you want to play the Jordan before you get out of here now, Chief?
Alvarez launches.
Oh, there it is.
And this one is gone.
There you go.
Walk him off in game one. Jordan Alvarez. Are you kidding me?
Wow, Cap.
See, I mean, I worked hard on that.
Listen to that sound, how loud and clear that is.
Yeah, well, now I know what the problem is. So technical bugs have been worked out.
The problem is you.
Yeah, it was user error. That's all good. But now who's going tomorrow night? Is it
Framber Valdez versus Luis Castillo? 2:37 first pitch. At
you
the
surprised that they didn't go with Lance being at home?
Should have gone with Lance at home, but not as costly now. You reward your second best pitcher, and we'll see what happens. I would have gone with Lance, but we'll see what happens with Framber. Not good in the postseason last year outside of that one historic start. ERA damn near 10 in his other ones. Is he worn down? He's pitched more than he has ever. We're going to find out tomorrow. Luckily, not a do or die situation because Jordan Alvarez bailed out a lot. He saved all butts.
I don't know how Seattle comes back from that mentally. It'll be interesting to see how they are.
Best way to do it is with that guy on the bump. But Framber's pretty good too, despite the fact that national TV was acting like he's basically Josh James or something like that. Basically just dismissing him. But yeah, we're good. There you go. All right, buddy.
Well, Cap and Trade episode 36 was an absolute shit show from a technical standpoint. So that is completely my fault.
No, it was not a technical standpoint. It was a you not plugging shit in standpoint.
Yeah, well,
so don't blame.
It's
don't pull the
like
blaming technology thing. I'm an expert on this. I'm in radio. I'm always blaming technology when it's not the fault.
It is
but
all
this
user
is a
error
thing.
Yes, this was my fault completely, and I had different adapters, and I'm like, damn it, but it's okay. It's all in good fun. It's all that matters. Landry got to see me laughing and smile, so I'm not so Debbie Downer like I was last weekend when I was perfectly fine last week.
All right.
Oh my God. All right, buddy. Well, you have a good night. We'll chat soon, and we'll be back at it next week, folks. Hopefully a little bit better presentation on my part. And with that, we'll shut it down, and everybody have a good evening. Later.
Yeah.